Hi everyone, trust you all are doing well and welcome to another lesson. So what we're going to do is we're going to redirect the user. So from here, let's just do that. So we're going to return redirect. But in this case, what I'm just going to do, I'm just going to redirect the user back, okay, with a message. And the message is going to be success and reply created. So we got that done right there. So we redirect the user back with a message of success. Now there's a couple of things that we need to do in order to actually create the reply. You remember that we got our create reply job right here. So we got our private, the body, the author, replyable. I'm just going to go over this. Just make sure everything that you have is exactly the same as mine. All right. So we got our body, author, everything is done in this part right here. And let's go on. Okay, just pause the video and make sure yours is exactly the same as mine. Otherwise, you might get an error or two. Okay. So now this is basically what we have right here. Now the next thing that we need is we need to associate the replyable. So when we actually create a reply with a thread. So let's open our thread model. So open up your thread model. Now, our thread model is basically now going to implement that contract, that interface. Okay, so replyable. Okay, so as you can see, now our code editor is giving me an error right now. Okay, it's letting me know, like, listen, your model is not implementing the replyable subject. Okay, so as you can see right there, if I highlight over it, let's go to our replyable. You see, this replyable subject needs to be part of our model. So I'm just going to copy that right there. Okay, just copy that. And then we're going to go to just at the bottom right here. Let's do it above our ID. Okay, so we're just going to create a public function with that contract, all right, with that interface method. And then we're just going to return this title like that. Now, as you can see, we're not getting that error anymore. Let me just see what is happening. Since I copied and pasted the name right there, just add the string, okay, just to make sure that the title returned as a string. Okay, so now that is all set up. Now the thing is, if we don't do this, we're not making use of that interface. All right, so which we're going to rely on the moment we're going to loop over over our replies. Okay, so we set this up. Let's go to our, just open up your thread controller again. Now just go to your pages.show. Right, in here is actually when we create our replies, you guys remember. So this is also what we have done in the previous episode. We put the input hidden and that right there. Okay, so this is actually where we create our replies. So now when we create a reply, it gets authorized, then we dispatch the job, okay, to this, and this create reply actually handles that creating the job. Right, now I just want to put in alert right here. Let's just bring it at the top part, just above our small of the title. I just want to bring in x alerts dot main. Right. So if the person created the reply, they can actually just get a notification like, listen, your replies are created. All right, so let's test this out and see if we get any errors, and if we get one, we will fix it. Okay. So let me click on this one. So I must be logged in order to create a reply. As you can see, I'm not logged in. So I'm just going to quickly log in as john@example.com. Password right there, and then we log in. Right. Now, right. So let's just post the reply. This is a new reply. As you can see, we got reply created, but we cannot see that reply yet. All right, so what we want to do is we want to actually display that reply right here. You guys remember, this is our hard-coded HTML that comes with a template. We're going to use this template as the template for our replies. Okay, so we can obviously give some more spacing there just to kind of separate the main one from the replies. Okay, so let's quickly fill in this, and all the replies we can just add the details right there. Right, you remember that we had our auth right here, and just above our authentication we have that replies right there. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a for each, not a for loop, for each loop. Right, and this one is going to be the thread. Remember, a thread can have many replies, but we need a polymorphic relationship for our replies. So for each thread's replies, okay, as reply. You could have actually named this comments or whatever the case may be, but replies is kind of it makes sense in this case, but you can actually make it comments. It's the same thing, just a different name. Okay, so for each reply as reply, let's just put in all the data. Let's just loop over it and see if the reply actually gets replied. This needs to be singular because we're in a single thread. Okay, so we bring in this variable that gets passed through is actually the one that threads replies. Okay, now as you can see, it's getting displayed right there. So if we create another one, let's just say another reply, it's posted. As you can see, we're supposed to show 2 right now. So we've got 2 replies right there, as you can see. All right, so what I want to do is I want this data to actually come from the reply itself. So the image right now, right there, it actually comes from the hard-coded image, but I'm going to deal with that in a second. Now, let me just put in here the reply, the body. Now, there's a reason why I'm doing it with the double curlies, because I want to show you something. So let's go to our browser quickly. And if we refresh, you can see it renders the divs as well. Now, we don't want this to happen because, just remember, we need to sanitize to make sure when the person actually do a reply that we sanitize the purify basically to make sure that we don't get anything harmful. All right, so let's go back. So in here, we're going to do a bang bang. This. All right, so now we're displaying our body. As you can see, if we go back, it needs to be displayed without the divs. All right, but now the problem is now we exposed, meaning that if someone actually do something harmful, we will not look at it, we will just pass it through. It comes from the database. That's not a good practice. If you guys remember what we have done with when we created a reply job, we actually purified it. We're going to do the same thing with our replies. Let's do that quickly. So I just opened my create thread. As you guys remember, when we did the body, we do the purify clean right there. So we're going to do the same thing for our create a reply. As you can see, we create a new body, and then in here, we actually just going to encapsulate it, and then we're just going to do the same thing. I'm just going to copy and paste it right here. All right, so purify clean that, and we import that facade at the top. Just make sure it's imported right there. Right, so now, let me just put this all in separate lines, just kind of easier to see. All right, so we create the reply. Now we purify the body right there to make sure that nothing harmful will get put into our database of safe stuff. All right, so that's done. Okay, so when we created the reply, so obviously not going to deal with the likes yet. We're going to get that in its own episode when we get to the like model. So we're going to just put in the date right here. It's reply formatted. So we can actually, we can have done like this, created add. Just remember, when we do this, we call on our reply model. You remember the has timestamps. This is the format that it will come and return for us. But I don't want to do this. I want to use the 2 minutes ago, 5 minutes ago kind of thing, or 2 months ago. All right, so let's go back to our show method. So I'm just going to change this to the created at, and this one is going to be div for humans. All right, so let's see how it looks like now. So if I refresh, you will see that it's 7 minutes ago. This one is 5 minutes ago and 8 minutes ago. All right, so now we can see our replies. I just want to give some space in between the two, between the replies and actually the main thread right there. Okay, so let's do that. All right, I'm just going to encapsulate all of that with the div. So we've got a div right there, and we're just going to give it a class of margin top of, let's say, 6 for now, and a space Wi-Fi. Okay, just to separate for each div, just to be kind of equally spaced. Right, so that's all we're going to do, and let's go back. And if we refresh, you can see we got a little margin there on top between our main post and our replies. And if I just create, let's say create a new reply, okay, and then post it. As you can see, reply is created, and there's our reply right there. So now anybody can reply to this post, right? And we want to obviously give the user the option, the author, to be able to edit their post and stuff like that. So if we, I'm just quickly going to create a post as John. Okay, so let me just do that quickly. And what I'm thinking is, I want to remove the edit and delete button from the threads.index page, and those buttons to only be available inside the thread itself for the author, like right here on top. Okay, and as you can see, there's no replies. Let me just create some reply. So I've created a reply. Now, obviously, the picture is not coming from the user itself. So as you can see 1 second ago, and yes, right. So I just want the edit and those buttons and stuff like that. We're going to get to the styling part a little bit later, but let's just move along. But if the author of this page, they want to edit their reply, I want to give them the option to edit it or delete their own reply. Okay, so that will be done in the next one. So I just want to update this as well. Okay, so what we're going to do, as you can see the button right there, just delete that button right there. Okay, then just go on top, and you'll remember the post itself has got an avatar. Just copy that avatar and just bring it down to where we just deleted that. Right, so just like this. But instead of the thread, we're just going to be the reply for the author, and this is going to be a call span now of 6. So that's all we're going to do right there. So if we go back, and if we refresh, you can see now we got our replies right there. So let's just create quickly a new reply on someone else's thread. So let's on this guy, on Mark, new reply, posted. As you can see, the profile, everything is in there. So obviously if we add the image, our image will be displayed right there. Okay, so we can obviously put in here replies or comments or whatever you want to do, just to make it for a better user experience so that someone can be able to distinguish between the two. Okay, so let's do that quickly. I'm just going to put in here replies. All right, so just underneath that, I'm just going to create the replies, and I'm just going to give it a class, uppercase, and text. I want the text to be actually just small. All right, so let's see how that looks like. Okay, so this is how it looks like. Right now, I'm probably just going to put, make it bold. Okay, so font bold, and obviously you can do your own styling if you want. Otherwise, the lessons will get too long if we focus on too much styling and things like that. Okay. So we got our replies to the thread right there, just to kind of distinguish for the user. Just remember user experience. Right. As I giving it a little border right there, I can actually make it a little bit thicker as well. Right here, let's just make it 2 or 3. Let me just see what 3 looks like quickly. We've got there no 3, so we're going to do a border left of 4. Okay, so let's see. Okay. So basically, this is now our replies. You can make it smaller, bigger, change the color to whatever you want to do. Okay, for me, I'm just going to leave it as is, just to kind of distinguish between the main post and this post right here. So we know that this are replies right there. All right. Thank you guys for watching. This will be it for the replies for now. If you like the video, please give it a like. If you don't, please give it a dislike. And yes, all right, thank you guys, and see you next time.